So we're rolling, so go ahead.
Hi, I'm Frank Sietzen. I'm one of the co-authors of the book New Moon Rising, the story of the development of the vision for space exploration as told from the inside of the Bush administration during the period from 2003 to the summer of 2004. And what Keith Cowing and I did was we granted extraordinary access by the Bush administration to sit in the councils of government as they struggled with the decision on how to decide which path to take in the aftermath of the February 1st, 2003 Columbia accident. There was never a clear way to get forward in this program. There was entirely competing pressures on the Bush administration, who did not want to spend any additional new money to fund a lunar program or a mission to Mars. So what happened inside the NASA administration of Sean O'Keefe during this period is every conceivable pathway to a new program was evaluated, discussed, and fought over, including replacing the space shuttle with a new shuttle, deciding to go back to the moon for a permanent, expanding the size of the International Space Station, or coming up with some truly revolutionary concepts like a space elevator. All of these programs were evaluated and considered, but they were hampered by the single central element which defines our story in the book: how to create a new pathway for the United States in space without spending any new money. A virtual Hobson's choice. In the end, what the decision was to retire the space shuttle by 2010, to retire the International Space Station's United States participation by 2016, and to use the money that was freed up to fund a new spacecraft called the Crew Exploration Vehicle, a new family of rockets called the Crew Launch Vehicle and the Cargo Launch Vehicle, which we know today to be Ares 1 and Ares 5, a lunar lander much larger than the one that was used by the Apollo astronauts, and then to build up a presence on the surface of the moon, leading toward a permanent lunar facility. Along the way, we see the political battles in the Congress to fund these programs out of the NASA budget, the competing installations who all wanted to have a part of this new Constellation program, how the O'Keefe and Bush administrations were able to put all of these internal fires out, what role the White House staff played in making the political case to the other elements of the administration. The Defense Department was very skeptical that NASA could achieve a new goal for the country. Having just killed 7 astronauts in the Columbia disaster, there was tremendous pressure within the Bush administration to give NASA a new mission. So Keith and I sat down, were able to follow these decisions as they began, as they matured, until the President, in the historic moments of December of 2003, 10.5 months after the Columbia disaster, sat in the Roosevelt room of the White House with all of his senior advisors, from the Vice President on down, the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, the Administrator of NASA, the President's Science Advisor, John Marburger, and the President went around the room, as you see recreated in this book. No one has ever been granted access to that moment, to see how the President finally signed off on this decision to return American astronauts to the moon and under what timetable. You'll see how they came up with 2010 as the date to retire the space shuttle, why they decided to get rid of the International Space Station just a few years after the station would be assembled. What was the pressure upon these people to force them to retire these assets that had, for a very long time, been at the center of American manned spaceflight? So what we say in New Moon Rising is, if you are a NASA administrator, this is what it is like to sit there at that desk and to be faced with all these competing political and geopolitical pressures. A President of the United States who had never evidenced any interest in the space program before, astronauts who wanted to continue to fly the space shuttle, industry which had not had a new space program for over 30 years, and to weave all of this together in a narrative which we think is a compelling story, a snapshot in American history on how the United States finally made this historic decision. And what we hope to do at Apogee Books, and we invite you to come check our book out at apogeebooks.com and see all of the other books on space that this publishing company has created, is just get a sense of all the dynamic elements that are involved in human and robotic space exploration from the very beginning to the present day. And in September, we'll have a new book out called The Astronaut and the Fireman, which I tell the story of 100 technologies that you encounter as an average citizen every single day of your life that had its origins in the space program that we show you. Medical devices and precision farming and food safety and all sorts of interesting technologies that you could not live your life today without. That'll be in our new book coming out in September. So come to our website, check out our books, get a copy of New Moon Rising and be informed if your job is involved in the space program in any way. You need this book as your roadmap to the future. I'm Frank Sietzen. I'm the co-author of this book along with Keith Cowing, and thank you very much for your time. Happy?